Hello. Hello, what's up? Hello, good to see you. Hi. Carpet DM, thank you for the 4 months. Joaquin TV, thank you for the 9 months. Pablo S. Skybar. Like the Skybar in American Airlines? That's a good one. Thank you for the 6 months. Walker, thank you for the 11. Hey, Atrioc, I've really enjoyed the content lately. Not to be super parasocial, but I moved to a new state and I don't know a ton of people here yet. But your streams help me keep my mind off it for a bit and put an actual smile on my face. Keep up the good work. Also, I don't know how to leave a completely earnest compliment to you. So I have to say at the end, your fingers look like hot dogs and also you're bald. So close. It was so close to my first nice comment. We'll get there one day. One day I will get one earnest, nice comment from my chatters. I don't need it now. We'll get there. I'll work towards it. I'll work towards it, bro. Don't copium that. At last, finally, a PST-friendly stream. That's what I'm going for. I think the PST frogs finally deserve a chance. Let's get too bright. What the Fox? Thank you for the 2 months. Hunter, thank you for the 4 months. Let's go. This stream is more effective than the actual marketing class I'm paying for. Thanks for the knowledge, big game. Well, you're paying for this one too, technically, because you're a 4-month primer. So, Bob's not a bomb. Thank you for the 5 months. Max to the max. Thank you for the 11. Why is everyone so astronomically cringe? I don't know if you're talking about chatters in general or the world, but thank you for the 11 months. I do think on a broad scale, the world collectively, we're all in some way cringe. And you are the one that's nailed it. The one non-cringe person is above it all. Jolly Skydiver, thank you for the 23 months. 29 months. I'm currently watching this stream on my HD TV, aka my hot dog truck vendor. Okay, never mind. You're the cringe one. He was right. No, you are he was right. He was right. You are cringe. I didn't. I was making a point how we're all a little bit cringe and no one can really judge another person, but I am judging you. Skytopper, thank you for the 14 months. Jolson, thank you for the 20. Thank you for the long time subs today. Spoofy, thank you for the 8 months. How's everybody doing today? What's going on? How was your Sunday? How was your weekend? You know how you have that thing on Sunday when you have some shit to do on Monday that you're dreading, and you know that if you just took a few hours on Sunday to either work on it or start on it or get thinking on it, it would make your whole week easier? Did any of you do that? Did any of you do that, or did you all put it off and avoid it and are now dealing with the consequences on a Monday? Okay, that's what I figured. I am fucked because I did that? Why? I hate Sundays? Bro, I never got that. I never understood that. Ari used to tell me that all the time. She had the Sunday scaries. And she said Sunday was her least favorite day because of the dread. But it's like, it's still better than the day. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's still good. It's still a free day. Why? That's like, what are you talking about, bro? I think that's ridiculous. Sunday's goated. I mean, for right now, for me, Sunday's like my favorite day of the week. I love Sunday. Sunday, I fucking exercise, I chill, I read, I fucking start Marketing Monday, but I don't get too much of it done. Here's a little fucking fried today. Hey, God rested on a Sunday, so can I, Atrioc. What is your point there? That you are comparable to God? That God is real, you believe in him, and you think you should be able to have the same privileges and rights as the creator, as Almighty. That's, that's an interesting argument. It's an interesting argument to be like, yeah, I believe in God, and yeah, I think I'm him. I think I believe in God, and I think I should have exactly the same fucking rights and responsibilities he has. That is kind of based. I Hey, Big A, I made a video on why you're a marketing genius. It's only 5 minutes. I mean, flattery will get you everywhere, but not on a Monday, bro. I'm sorry. Put it on the Reddit, baby. We had a recap. I would love to watch that on a Friday. Right now, you have just punted $5. There is no shot I watch that today. Bruh, it's Tuesday in Australia. Calling it Marketing Monday is not very inclusive. I'll tell you what's not very inclusive. Have you guys ever seen the movie Talk to Me? Probably none of you have. Well, it's a A24 horror film called Talk to Me, and it's made by 2 Australian YouTubers turned filmmakers, and it won a bunch of awards and got pretty high reviews. So I thought I would check it out because Ari loves horror movies. So I watched it last night. Australia owes me an apology. That was a good movie, but it was the most depressing movie that I've ever fucking seen since Hereditary. That movie fucking was just bleak the entire way through, and it got bleaker, and it has, I don't know. And the reason it's good, right? Because most horror movies, the reason they suck is because they're all cheap jump scares, and they don't make you care about the characters at all. But on the flip side, if you make somebody care about the characters in a horror movie, the film is better, but then you just feel worse when they get murdered or tortured or, do you know what I'm understanding? You understand what I'm saying? One of the reasons, I'm going to spoil Hereditary. If you haven't seen it, you're not going to see it at this point. Hereditary is a very famous movie that was like the renaissance of serious horror movies. Came out, I don't know, 2017 or something like that, 2018. And Hereditary stars Toni Collette in an amazing, she acts one of the best acting performances I've ever seen, but she's a mom whose daughter sticks her head out the window and it gets knocked off. I'm just going to say it as simple as I can. She sits her head out the window, daughter's head gets knocked off, and then it's this spiraling wave of grief and tragedy and disaster from that. Like in a car, yes. And it's so depressing. It's a good movie because of how real and raw the performance is, but it's not fun at all in any way. My favorite scary movie is Scream, because Scream is a movie that's scary and has a little bit of a murder mystery to it. There's some funny parts. That's fine. But when I watch Hereditary, I'm just yes, I understand this is good, but it's so bleak and so depressing. And I don't want to see a raw, real performance of a mother who just lost her daughter to a freak accident. It's terrible. Yeah, what I want is Marvel clips. If her daughter's head had got knocked off and she goes, uh-oh. Yeah, something like that. You know what I'm saying? That would be, because then I would know the audience should laugh. That just happened. Didn't see that coming. That's not supposed to be yeah, that's not supposed to happen. Yeah, if her brother looked at the window and was uh-oh, that's gotta hurt. She's not making it to dance practice. Then I would know I should laugh. And then I could, instead of that, they gave me a raw and real crying performance. And this movie, Talk to Me, was just like that, except worse, because the entire movie is filled wall to wall with Australian slang. So it's just I'm getting waterboarded with fucking, she'll be all right. And so I give it a 8 out of 10, but an Atrioc IGN 8. You know what I'm saying? In that I know it was good, but I wouldn't rewatch. Hey, Atrioc, I'm going to fail my psychology test tomorrow because I got to watch Marketing Monday. Don't worry. You would have failed anyway. Come on. We both know. Let's do a little psychology on you. We understand that you right now are procrastinating no matter what. And if I hadn't gone live, you would have found a different alternative, but equally viable way of procrastinating to not study. And so therefore, if you are currently unready, no amount of me going live or not would have changed that trajectory. You were on a trajectory of disaster. That being said, it's a psychology final. Perhaps it's multiple choice even. And perhaps you just bink it. You know what I'm saying? Firm handshakes. Maybe you just bink it. PH Dinackle, thank you for the 4 months. Hey, Atrioc, today's my birthday. Did you get me a gift? Oh, of course. I remember all my chatters' birthdays, and I always get you custom personalized gifts. PH Denackle, your birthday. What did I get you? It's so obvious. I knew that you loved Triscuits Original. And that is why I got you this sealed box of original Triscuits. Delicious. Straight to your door. And I will sign this. So this is also one of one merch. Happy birthday. Thank you so much for your longtime support. And I'm so happy to give this to you. I'm going to deliver it to your local grocery store, and I'll put it right there in the front, in the cracker and snack aisle. So just pick that up, and it may have a small fee for the postage or whatever. Just pick that up at the door, and you are good. So congratulations, and thanks again. Cow, thank you for 7 months. Possibly Nate Dog. Nate Dog is dead, so I don't think you're possibly Nate Dog. Thank you for 3 months. Grizzled Bear, thank you for the 3 months. What's Derivative, thank you for the prime. Tipsy Turtle, thank you for the 6 months. Big A, I'm studying for the Series 7 and I'm burnt out. Help. What is the Series 7? What is that? What is the Series 7 exam? That is the competency of entry-level general securities representatives. A 3-hour and 45-minute exam for people to buy and sell corporate securities. Okay, got it. It's like, I think my brother took this. So you can maybe run a mutual fund or, okay, gotcha. Okay, I understand. Why don't you just write, like, I don't know. Get paid, get laid. You know what I'm saying? And then like draw you giving dual middle fingers. And then maybe at the end say like my hero is SBF. I feel like somebody had to do that because a lot of people have passed that test. Ray Wah, thank you for the prime. Big A, I'm studying for the ethics component of the bar exam. See that one. Yeah, I mean, listen, unless you're telling me that every lawyer who's passed the bar exam is a paragon of ethics, you could probably figure it out. Do you know what I'm saying? You could probably figure it out. Watch Breaking Bad. Watch Better Call Saul. Mason Mans, thank you for the 11 months. Lane, thank you for the 6 months. Noble Bucket, thank you for the 16. Lean Hydra, thank you for the 3. Atrioc, 10 months ago, I made a Coffee Cow video game, and it did not take off. Really? Really? Even with the legendary Coffee Cow IP, your video game didn't immediately take off? It would be cool if you saw it. Coffee Cow on Game Jolt, baby. All right, well, today is not the day for that. Maybe you could submit it to the Reddit. Sure, someone in chat will check it out and have a speedrun for you by the end of the week. Nullsack, thank you for the 26 months. Shut up, nerds. Thank you for the 6 months. Marketing on time. The union's actually working. Well, yeah, I'm a little late today, but it should be good. Should be good. Should be interesting. Atrioc, I just finished watching the VOD from Saturday. Love the discussion at the end about common sense solutions to bring back the middle class and reduce the impact of inherited wealth. Rare to get some nuance in a media landscape dominated by polarizing content. Yeah, but I realized, fuck that. I need to be way more polarizing. I realized after Saturday that, like, a lot of my opinions are based around things I think could realistically happen. But then I realized, like, who cares, right? If it's for the audience, I should just say whatever the coolest thing is, and then they'll be like, yeah, that sounds great. Rather than talk about what I think, like, has a real shot of happening in my lifetime. Just be like, I think we should murder all of the evil rich people. We should just know who they are. We should kill them all. And then I think we should redistribute the money to the people that deserve it. People that actually deserve it. And then they should be able to live their lives with peace and dignity, and the system should be perfect and set up for them. And I think that will 100% work, and I think there's no flaws. Pog champ. Poggies were giving them. Yeah, what I'm talking about is the streamers. Yeah. What I've decided, and this is a really, I think we all hate the rich, right? And how do we determine the rich? I figured it out. There's a really easy way to do it. We're going to take my net worth and we're going to add $1. That is the bar for the rich. And then everything, let's say my net worth minus $1. That's the par for the lazy. So they don't deserve any of the money. So we're going to take all the money from the rich and not give it to the lazy because they're not working hard enough. We're going to give it to the right in the middle, you know, people that are hardworking, motivated. And that's sort of a philosophy I think will serve us well. The real middle class. Yeah. Is this Dr. Carbonation's evil scheme? Dude, shut the fuck up on Dr. Carbonation for real. It's funny because what is crazy to me is I thought this is a truth. Previously the memes like Coffee Cow, etc. I thought the primary assault vector was through Reddit recap videos. So I'd make a video on Reddit recap and the people would see that and then they would see it from the YouTube and they'd come in and they'd spam the joke. But Dr. Carbonation has not been in any YouTube video. I haven't made any Reddit recap videos. And yet I still get comments on all of my main channel videos that are like, oh, Dr. Carbonation at it again. He's carbonating up devious plot. And so it's like, and then someone say, yeah, Clips channel, but that Clips channel is like what? It's like a fourth of the views of a main channel video. So it spreads virally inside. I feel like people have a secret meeting or something. Hat Show, thank you for the prime. Nat Throws, thank you for the prime. Psycho, thank you for the 16 months. Major Ash, thank you for the 3 months. Mikey from NZ. I said that right for you. Pig A, I took the first steps today with my prosthetic leg without crutches. Big Pog TY for content. First of all, fucking congratulations. That's awesome, bro. Big Pog, Mike from NZ. That's awesome. Congrats. Wishing you best on rehabilitation. Milk Case, thank you for the 20 months. Sag, my streamer doesn't support indie artists of the Coffee Cow IP. Oh, I support them. Just not financially or with my time or with my exposure. You know what I'm saying? I support them like the way people support, like, you know, causes on social media. Thoughts and prayers. You know what I'm saying? Thoughts and prayers for people making TNP, baby. It's the best way to do it. It's much more powerful. It's more powerful that way. It's more powerful. Change profile picture background. Well, that would actually be too much of a support. If I changed my profile picture background to the Coffee Cow to support small-time Coffee Cow content creators, that feels like almost too big of a step. Hey, like I said, I in the union negotiation have given away one panel beneath my stream to the chatters union to use as they deem fit. If they want to use it for Coffee Cow, that's fine. I guess, it's not fine, but whatever. I'm not going to throw a fit about it. Yeah, it still says Hearthstone, so I might as well give it to someone else who might use it. Atrioc, end of the house finale VOD was muted, so I'd be saying that seems 5. So I'll tell you what's going to happen. Today, I'm going to do a wins and fails. Actually, let's talk a little bit about this week. Let's talk about this week real quick before I jump into all the fucking marketing news, okay? Let's talk about this week. Couple things are happening this week. I'm sort of very motivated. I'll be honest with you. I've been very motivated. I don't know if, I've been taking a little bit better care of myself and I got more energy lately and I've been motivated. I've been hitting the whiteboard and I've been thinking, I've been talking to people and I've been calling quack for one. Dude, I used to avoid calling quack at all costs. Now I'm calling quack regularly and recording voiceover and shit. All right. I'm motivated. And I have a lot of ideas that I want to start making. I want to start getting finalized. I don't want to, because I have a tendency, you guys have never noticed this, but I have a tendency to sometimes start multiple projects and I don't always get there on all of them because they get overwhelmed by all the, So this week, here's the plan. Today, Marketing Monday on time, obviously. Bam. We're in there. Tomorrow, Best Tweets is done. ahead of time. Thanks to Drop Spindle and her hard efforts, Best Tweets is done. We have I haven't seen them, but I assume they're pretty fun. So we got Best Zeets tomorrow. So that's already back-to-back winners, bangers. Then follow that up. Thursday, I am doing a full Marketing Monday presentation on an unannounced topic that I've been working on with Mingo. This is a full, it's like kind of like when I did the What's Up Beijing, the big China one. I'm just ripping it. I've decided that I take sometimes, because I've actually got like 5 of these half-baked that I get really into, because I just have like these 6-hour sessions where I'll read like 19 articles about something and write something and be like, all right, I'll finish that tomorrow when I need to polish it. And then I don't do that. So I'm finishing one of them. I'm just picking one and I'm finishing it. And we're going to do it on Thursday. Bam. Wednesday is a pure slop stream. By the way, you may have noticed I skipped Wednesday. Wednesday is slop. Show up to the trough ready to oink. Okay? It's going to be like stupid reacts, maybe Liza P, maybe fucking, I don't know, whatever. It's going to be slop, dude. It's going to be me talking to chat and making goofy jokes and whatever. Big fat slop. Thursday is a thing. Friday? Do I have a plan for Friday? Probably not. Slop again. Maybe, okay. What I want to do more of, and I haven't figured out a pure strategy for this, is I actually really like interacting with chat via voice. At first, I thought I hated it. But ever since we did that job stream, I've done it more and more, and it's actually really fun. I like bringing people in the calls and then talking to them. I also like when I did that Hitman thing where I would like just go to different small streamers and interact with them. It's usually pretty funny. What I realize is like interactions can often be really funny. And I don't think I'm that bad at it. So I want to do more of that. So about that, what's the Spectacore doing here? Spectacore, if you get paid, how will Psychic feel? Do you understand? How will Psychic feel if you jump the line? You're being really greedy right now. Do you understand? It just feels really like what you're doing right now is like you're basically pushing a little kid in front of traffic and saying, I got to get mine. Isn't that weird that you're doing that? No, of course, next time you're live, bro, I will fucking gift. Although, how about this, Spectacore? Sure, you can get the payment for the wrong contract that you did. That's fine. And boring and bad content. Or double or nothing on a brand new, harder contract that I've created for next week. I already made it. Potential for 80 gifties if you can beat my time. Interesting. 80 gifties. What is that? Is that $400? Oh, I'm going to make the most. I'm actually making a new contract. It's going to be so fucked. You have to be in. You know what you have to do, though? You know what you have to do? Emote only mode. Because when there's that much money on the line, there's going to be some shatters. And you're going to be like, guys, don't help. Guys, do not. Nobody give me any hints. And I know that's how it'll work, bro. So it's an emote only situation. And yeah, I'm down to do that. We'll do a double or nothing of some sort. And next week, I don't know about next week, but soon, I'm not nailing a day on it yet because it might be, I want to have the first one video go up and they're working on it. So anyway, I definitely had some time on Sunday and made some devious contracts and also some easy ones because I realized all I have to do is make easy, fun contracts and put them on fucking Xbox Game Pass and I can get random fun people to play them and watch them. We have a good time. It's a fucking genius plan. And so I got a team for the Game Pass creation and we're doing it. Listen, what I've realized is I'm the first person to ever think of this. Minimum viable product. Launch early, launch often. Fail fast and learn, okay? Do you understand? This is the thing I've entirely invented myself. Nobody in Silicon Valley ever said this before. Rather than wait around and try to get it perfect, I'm just going to go and adapt on the fly. Atrioc, do you need anyone to make contracts on PS5? No. No, actually, I was gonna make a big joke, but no, I have a team. We're good. They have even Switch. We're gonna have it made on. So, so what I was getting to is that the end of today, we'll watch House season 5 episode 1 because I haven't watched that yet. So today is wins and fails. Shoot the shit. House season 5 episode 1. Bing, bong, boom. And we'll see if it's even good. All right. I almost felt like season 4 finale was a real finale. It was the most emotional episode, but it also was so sad. And I honestly don't know how House is going to look Wilson in the eye again. We'll see. I don't know. We'll try it. We'll try it. We'll try it. We'll try it. Okay? We'll try it. I heard you had a guest speaker from chat today during the SBF trial. What does that mean? I had a guest speaker from chat during the SBF trial. The SBF trial is ongoing right now. What are you saying? What are you meaning? Do you think SBF was in my chat? Probably. You missed Noodle sub. Noodle, thank you for the sub. Sorry if I missed it. Jarazard, thank you for the 14 months. Imperfect Virus, thank you for the 8 months. Was there ever a game? Tell me about this. I can't remember the name of this game. But some of you will remember this. There was a game called like Paranoid or something, and it was open world, and you could mutate yourself and like blow up tanks and shit. Does anyone know this game I'm talking about? You jumped around. It was like, and you Prototype. That game ruled, or did it? I rented it when I was a kid, and I loved that game, but I don't remember if it was good or not. It was basically infamous. I don't know what that means. David off, thank you for the gifties. Jun, thank you for the 18 months. Dude, I fucking loved Prototype. I rented that like 4 times until I beat it. Too old for me, and I'm 21. Why'd you say that like you're a fucking old man? Too old for me, and I'm 21. Yeah, you're fucking 21. A lot of things are too old for you, bitch. Can't rent a car. Yeah, renting a car is too old for you. You couldn't drink 6 months ago. It was published by Activision. People were asking Microsoft to reboot it. We'll talk about that today. That's coming up today. Okay, let me check, making sure. Bada bing, bada boom. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm feeling like this is pretty good. Yeah. All right. Nah, for real though. Let me move this set of slides right here, a little up in the enclave. Okay. Justice for Noodle. What is the Justice for Noodle situation? I'm happy to. Underwolfie, thank you for the tier 1. Appreciate it. Thanks for participating in my little game on Saturday. Sam Thingamajig, thank you for 2 months. Noodle Dono Wall. I'm sorry. What is the mess? You know, I want you guys to imagine. A situation. Imagine there's a class, for example. Let's say it's an average ASU class, so there's 3,000 students in it. And every single one of them is shouting something different, often about glizzies or hot dogs or dark carbonation or something stupid, right? And each one of them is individually mad if their question isn't answered. While the professor is also trying to get something. Do you understand? I just want you to understand the situation. Would you feel at all possible that maybe it's a difficult task to keep all of the different threads? Now imagine that most of those students didn't even pay for it. Or if they did, it's a small fraction of what an ASU class might be. You understand? Now imagine that situation. And imagine that they were even more angry than... Yeah. I'm just built different and I would process it all. All right. Delicious Noodle. It was my sub message and you didn't read it. All right, Delicious Noodle. Your message is for 10 months. Hey, Big A, Union Rep here. I'm just curious if you've started work on the Atrioc brand sippy cup for Arid yet. Why don't you let Arid and I figure that out? Okay? And the answer? No, I haven't. Of course not. That being said, I did ask Ari yesterday. Wait, let me show you something. Wait. Babe, can I show your Oreo to the chat? Where is it?
It's on my desk. Yeah, it is. Turn the fucking light.
Sorry. Okay, so Ari has a 3D printer now. I mean, she really has a fucking workshop in there. There's wigs, and there's stands, and there's dresses, and there's weapons, and she's building some cool shit. And so I asked her, this is a stupid question that I had to ask her, but I said, hey, babe, do you think this thing could print a sippy cup? And she said, yes. Wait, stands. Oh, yeah, stands. Yeah, you're not going to see Stans for a while. He's locked up in there. Not in Korea. And so she said, yeah, so maybe I could get a sippy cup printed. But more importantly, look what she made for me. It looks like an Oreo, right? But in fact, it's a fidget spinner that I can just like mess with while I'm reading things. Not really a fidget spinner. Let me see. Infinite food. I'm not going to eat it. I don't even know why I'm teasing. I'm not going to eat. It's not food. I don't want to bite it because it's made of plastic. It was made in a 3D printer. But anyway, it really has, you can't, I mean, it's like fucking cool is what I'm saying. It says, or like it looks like an Oreo. Not without milk. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, guys, I don't have any milk. I would love to eat it, but you know how it is. No milk, no chance. Not without milk. Stop yapping, Mr. GH, and start mooing. You have brain rot. You have brain rot. Your brain is rotted. It's like not functioning properly. This is the beginning of cognitive decline that's hit you at a remarkably early age. Thank you for the $5, not Arid. Chat, don't let him gaslight you. There's been zero contact from his side. Well, at least I made $5. As long as the only way to contact me is through $5 donations, I will keep this back and forth going as long as possible. Rampage, thank you for the 18 months. Vamilio, thank you for the 8 months. Spraden, thank you for the gifty. Biggie Kelly, thank you for the 60. All right, guys, I'm sorry. I'm delaying. We'll start here. We'll start here at 8:30. Let me. Here, we'll play this fucking track. And I'm gonna just kind of take a gander. Okay. Yeah, all right. Ads? Oh yeah, we'll run the ads. That's a good idea. Let's knock the ads out of the way so that I can start. -10. What's that? -10. No, there's no 10. Darvello, thank you for the prime. I'm going to run an ad. And no, why is everyone saying -10? There's no 10. Oh, wait. Deep Delta Blue. I'd love to see you explain what parts of the government are actually economic policy drivers, i.e., usually not the president. Do you mean what? Let me decipher your question. Are you asking which part of the government sets the economic policy? Because, a large part of that does come from the president or his advisors. The central bank is also extremely important and supposed to be independent. Atrioc, would you ever do a bounty from the bounty board? And more like central stank. What make the gas go up? Obama? Yeah, what people don't realize, though, one thing about politics people don't realize is that, like, if you're trying to figure out who causes, like, gas prices to go up, that is, and always has been, Barack Obama. Whether or not he's in, even before he was in office, when he was a little kid, he actually single-handedly is the person. He actually spends most of his waking hours driving around to different gas stations and forcing them to raise the price. So that's why he's so rich now. Yeah, exactly. He gets a cut. So I that's like a little known fact, but he is the personal person responsible. Your question can go in a lot of directions. I think there is a situation where people generally blame just the president for like things like inflation and stuff like that, which I would agree is stupid. Especially because like, I mean, the inflation we have now and the hangover from easy money that we have now has been building for 15 years. It's through all of Bush Jr., all of Obama, all of Trump, and all of Biden. Like, all of those terms combined have been remarkably similar in like spending more and more and more amounts of money that they didn't have. So, have you heard about the EU wanting to ban encryption in private messages? Do you mean like killing Signal and things like that? Interesting. I mean, I doubt they will. Well, yeah. Probably a bad precedent, if I'm going to be honest with you. Neely K, thank you for the 3 months. I finally finished watching the full Railbound VOD. It was truly painful, 10 out of 10 content. I'm glad you enjoyed, I guess. Sounded like it was painful to you. Railbound was really fun, and I like the songs. In fact, I still, to this day, play this song.
If you miss the train I'm on, you will know the stream goes on. You can hear the train loop for 100 times. 100 times, 100 times, 100 times, 100 times. You can hear the train loop for 100 times. Not a plan to his track. The train loops for the train loops back. You can hear the train loop for 100 times.
I just think that is a beautiful song. I love it. Like I listen to that unironically while I'm like fucking working sometimes. Not right now, Whodat, but I will. Whodat on Wednesday. Wednesday, if you want to do it. Oh, wait. Yeah, ads are running, so it's perfect time. Ads are running. Yeah, I'm down. Who that? I'm actually, you know what? That could be a fun thing to do on Wednesday is challenge my chatters to different games. Do a little 1v1s, maybe pay out if I lose. That could be fun. The clip of you blaming Obama for gas prices is going to go crazy on conservative TikTok. That's my growth mechanism. Conservative TikTok is how I try to, that's the big, I'm pretty sure 89% of my chatters came straight from conservative TikTok. That's like where, someone unironically posted I made that video. I'm pretty proud of that video I made on the housing crisis in China because I did a lot of research for it. And I think I was measured and in my response. But someone just cut the part where I make fun of the headlines that are like obviously exaggerated about China. And then they put it over Subway Surfers and they put it on fucking TikTok. And it's like going viral in like the, pro-China tankies circle. Which is like, I mean, okay. There's more to the video. I mean, the video's not... my grandma tried to tell you. What do you mean? They do that with everyone though? Yeah, I don't think it was that. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. It's just funny that it happened because it's funny that like I think the clip's already pretty short and also not that dry, and yet it had to be over Subway Surfers. It's like fuck, dude. It's like 3/4 of the screen is Subway Surfers when they posted it. By the way, it's like barely. You cannot even see the headlines I'm talking about. Karachnid, thank you for the 7 months. Okay, God, I hate these ads. Keep up the great content. Wait, why do you have ads? You've been subbed for 7 months. You shouldn't have ads. Do you have ads? Is that serious or a joke? Subs don't get ads, right? Oh, not in a row. I see. I understand. You just did it. Gotcha. You should post you watching House in 2-minute chunks on TikTok so I can finally watch it. That would probably go dumb hard. That would unironically go dumb hard if we just got all of the reactions of me saying, this is bad. Here's the thing I have. You guys are more in touch with this than I am, to be quite honest. Although I'm trying to almost learn from the ground up because it's like the way advertising and media is leaning anyway. I personally believe that a lot of content creators overemphasize the value of shorts. Like because it gives you a big view count number, but I truly believe like when you're consuming them, you just don't even remember. Do you know what I'm saying? People watch them, yeah, but they're not like, they don't build that connection with the creator the way they would. You just perma scroll. And so like you get a bunch of views, but you can't monetize it. And I don't think you're really building that fan base in the same way that, like, I see some people that have like 10 million view short, 10 million view short, 10 million view short, huge fucking shorts. And you click on their video channel and it's like all of their videos are 10K views or like they have nothing. So it's like they're not following them over to their main. Like I just don't think it works. Like it seems to just boost your sub count, but damn, you and Lud need to debate this. So I did talk about this Lud on the hike. I talked about this Lud because obviously I think Lud knows more than me about the whole ecosystem and building on YouTube. But what I noticed is that he's pivoted from not just him, other people. I'm just saying from like just funny random shorts that like get a bunch of views but don't do anything to almost shorts that promote a video. So the short is almost like an ad for the full video, which makes sense for him. Most people don't even do that though, is what I'm saying. I think like that's a smart evolution on his part. But in general, I think a lot of people think they're building an audience, but they're not really doing that. That's just my theory. Again, I could be wrong. I'm just learning about it. And also he told me that like, I think I'm fine to say this. Like if you have a shorts channel, if you have a lot of shorts and you get good views, it's easy money for ads. It's like, if you have like a sponsorship and you're like, oh yeah, we can get you, you can put them in an ad. And it's like, that's golden. That's the golden goose because it's also almost better than like having to post on social and you can just sort of fit in it. Anyway, it's genius. So There's obviously upsides, but I personally think a lot of people waste their time on it. But I could be wrong. Listen, I'm still trying to learn. I don't know fucking shit about shit on that. Sir Epic, thank you for the Prime. P Money, thank you for the 21 months. Sup, Big A? Pitching a marketing campaign for a company at DreamHack Jönköping, Sweden next summer. What's the cost to get the Glizzlord to come over and be a part of the campaign? Damn, that's a tough question because I actually would love to go back to Jönköping, Sweden. You know, that was the first time I traveled for esports work. At 18 years old, I took a train from my parents' house in Germany up to Sweden. And lived in a fucking hostel with almost like a fucking prison bed, a prison bunk bed where we had to put I feel like it was 4 guys in 2 smalls. 2 small bunk beds. I'm not even kidding, dude. And I would go and write about StarCraft at the tournament. And so I would love to go back, many years later. It's now been a long time. I would love to do that. I think that'd be super fun. So San Francisco today? Yeah, like a San Francisco $3,000 apartment today. It's impossible to grow any other way now. You're lucky because you built your community before short form vids. You know that's not true, right? You don't think anyone on YouTube is growing without short form vids? There's no YouTubers out there building good videos and getting... Bro. Fucking Fulcrum did it, dude. Fucking Fulcrum made a... he got 5 times bigger than me with full videos after me. Fulcrum was TikTok? Not his own TikToks. People made it of his videos. But his videos did well. He had a main channel. He didn't just go pure shorts. He's a generational talent. Listen, I think there's people. I think every single day there's people blowing up to 1 million plus off of real YouTube videos. People make. Oh, I remember the idea I had for Friday. Wait, the idea was, King of the Hill, Ox Battle with chat. You get up on you're pulled in Discord. You give us a song. Someone else challenges. If they have a better song, we vote. You're kicked off. The longer you last, I'll give a prize. King of the Hill, Ox Battle. And then we get some songs. And yeah, I'll get DMCA, but we've done that before. We did the fucking old versus new DMCA stream, and that was, it doesn't always be a video. I think that's a fucking cool idea. And we can laugh at the VOD frogs the whole time. So we're doing that on Friday. So it's a full week. All right, guys, I'm sorry I've stalled too long. We need to get to the meat and potatoes. And by that, I mean a bunch of sad news about the economy. So without further ado, I'd like you to take a look at your screen. I'd like you to analyze what you're seeing and tag yourself if you deem it appropriate. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, welcome to Marketing. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Marketing Monday, wins and fails, where we go over all of the wins and the fails in the last week in marketing and business. And this week we have quite a few of them, including Sam Bankman-Fried's trial, AMD failing, political bribery, China news, and a whole lot more. So let's get to it, starting with, of course, an update on the trial of the century from Sam Bankman-Fried. Oh, wait, my camera's fucked up. Hold up. Did not expect that. Don't boomer me on this one. There we go. Fixed, maybe. Okay. Yes, the trial of the century. FTX's Sam Bankman-Fried. Last week we talked about how his close friend Gary Wong testified against him, even though they went to math camp together. And this week, the betrayal gets even worse, as his ex-girlfriend and CEO of Alameda Research, Caroline Ellison, took the stand to again leverage claims that he was the mastermind behind FTX's collapse, fraudulent stealing of customer deposits, and general wasteful bets on crypto. Now, SBF is being charged with these 7 crimes: 2 counts of wire fraud, 2 counts of conspiracy to commit wire fraud, 1 count of conspiracy to commit securities fraud, money laundering, commodities fraud, and they all serve maximum sentences of around 20 years for a lot of them. I mean, some of them are 5, but again, we're looking at probably a minimum of 30 years for a light sentence if he is found guilty. Now, what's interesting is that Caroline Ellison here started off her testimony by pleading guilty to all 7 of these crimes, as did Gary Wong. Now, both of the major executives that have testified have pled guilty and are basically cooperating against SBF to prove his guilt in these crimes as part of their plan for leniency and a lighter sentence. And her testimony was dramatic. Dramatic. Now, they don't allow any camera footage. No electronics are allowed in the courtroom. So everything we have from inside the testimony is courtroom sketches. And I'll be honest with you, the guy doing the sketching was not very nice to her in this one particularly. This is a very Eeyore-like drawing, which I think is not very nice. Not very friendly. Okay? This one's fine. But her testimony, let's be honest, was kind of a bombshell. So she dropped a lot of things that I want to cover. Number 1, she said basically that the key crime of the whole thing, which is that when FTX ran out of money, they decided, when Alameda ran out of money, which is his trading firm, they decided to plunder the customer accounts of FTX to help pay Alameda's debts. That is the big crime. That is when they said, we're going to take money that's expressly not for this purpose, steal it, and use it for a different company's debts. She admitted under testimony that he directed her to do that. But we kind of knew that going in. What was more interesting was the personal details. She said that he was incredibly ambitious and that thought there was a pretty good chance he would one day be the president of the United States. Under oath. She said SBF thought he would one day be the president of the United States. She also said, let's see. This is the big one. She said FTX was constantly was running from panic to panic, putting out fires. There was constantly some financial problem they had to figure out some solution for. And the most interesting one was they had $1 billion of funds locked inside a Chinese crypto exchange they needed to get out. And their plan was, because the money was frozen there, to hire Thai prostitutes to use their social security numbers to sign up for that for that Chinese trading firm and then bet against FTX and lose. And win, I'm sorry. They'd make poor trades against Thai prostitutes, so all of the money would go to the Thai prostitutes account and they could withdraw it. That was the plan. They were going to hire prostitutes to win against them in bad trades, then steal. It didn't work. Anyway, it didn't work. It doesn't make sense. No, imagine this. Okay, imagine all of your money is locked up in CSGO knives and you can't get it out for whatever reason. Okay? But CSGO Lotto is working. Okay? But it only works for some countries. You hire prostitutes to sign up for CSGO Lotto and then win bets against you to get all of your knives. And then they cash out and then you get the money. That was the plan. The plan was to have them win against you, cash out, and you get. That was the idea. It was insane. They also tried actual bribes against Chinese officials. Again, they had a 1-year-long war room where they spent a ton of money and hired a bunch of lawyers to try and figure out how to get this money out of China. They didn't get it. So another lost cause. And again, all of this is customer funds they're punting. But it got more serious. Caroline Ellison eventually ended up breaking down and crying on the stand as she said Sam Bankman-Fried had a culture of basically bullying her, blaming her for the problems, saying the reason Alameda was, $14 billion in debt with customer funds was because she didn't hedge well enough, which is which is crazy. Now, that being said, largely from what I've seen from Sam Bankman-Fried's antics and what he's sent to reporters and the narrative he's trying to tell is that he wants to pin a lot of the problems here entirely on her and basically say that he didn't know what was going on and she was so bad at her job that he couldn't have known. Now, of course, all of this falls apart because there's the core problem where he took money that was customer funds and gave it to Alameda. No matter what happened after that, that's the original cardinal sin, and he's guilty. That being said, there is a lot of evidence that she wasn't very good at her job. It doesn't matter, but it is true. Here's an interview she had from before everything went down, talking about some of what she does day to day and what's going on at her job as CEO of Alameda.
Yeah, absolutely could pull it off without my math degree. Use very little math. Use a lot of elementary school math. Being comfortable with risk is very important. We tend not to have things like stop losses. I think those aren't necessarily a great risk management tool. I'm trying to think of a...
Okay. A stop loss is where you set up a defined number. Like, let's say you buy stock at $80. You might set a stop loss to automatically sell at 60, so you don't lose too much. If it dips too much, it just automatically sells. They've decided they don't need that. They don't need a stop loss. And this is all kind of relevant because the reason this scam that they were pulling was found out relatively quickly is because all of the money they were stealing from customer deposits, they were punting on really, really stupid crypto bets. I can't stress enough that most of the money lost was because Alameda took this money and punted it on dumb crypto bets. If they had made smart bets, people wouldn't even have known there was fraud. This is the problem. And so the second there was a crypto downturn, which happened in summer of 22, when they started to have crypto winter, that's when FTX collapsed because all of the money they had punted on everything was down to zero. Everyone asked for their money back. They didn't have it. So
good example of a trade where I've lost a ton of money. Well, I don't know. I probably don't want to go into specifics too much with that.
Well, you will in court. Yeah. And again, this is not just her. Sam Bankman-Fried took a ton of the money, put it on hugely illiquid bad investments, and it was lost. And let's not forget, a ton of the money was spent on what this guy, this is his friend, Nishad. He was a chief engineer at FTX. He also flipped against Sam Bankman-Fried and testified. And he said basically that, Sam Bankman-Fried had excessive spending, where he took FTX and spent it on $1 billion in endorsement deals with celebrities. And we already know about this, though. But again, so they punted money on stupid endorsement deals. They punted money on bad crypto bets. And all of it was from customer deposits that they shouldn't have been using. And more of this came out as a secret recording of Caroline Ellison was revealed, where it's her talking to Alameda staff the day after FTX collapsed. And they're basically asking what went wrong. And she's pretty brutally honest in this. It's a 55-minute clip, so I'm not going to play the whole thing. We might get a clip for the video. But it's basically her just saying, yeah, we haven't been entirely honest. We did use customer funds. And then everyone who listened to her say this resigned immediately after. The entire staff resigned after. And, this is all, the rest is history of what's going on. So, but now that we've had basically all of SBF's close friends, associates, and ex-girlfriend testify against him that he was fully aware of what was going on and guilty and complicit in it, his lawyers have not been able to find any dents. They tried to cross-examine Nishad. They tried to cross-examine Gary Wang. They tried to cross-examine Caroline Ellison, and they couldn't get them to budge. The evidence, the testimony stuck. which means he's looking pretty screwed. So he has one last Hail Mary. SBF has one. Now, normally in a white collar crime case like this, the defendant is very, very reluctant to testify. But because SBF is fucked, he is likely going to have to testify, get up on the stage, and try to make some kind of argument that he wasn't aware, wasn't at fault, whatever. But there's one thing holding him back from doing that. He doesn't have enough addy. This is legitimate. His lawyers have pleaded to the judge that he cannot be allowed to testify if he doesn't have a huge, 20 mg delayed release Atrioc capsule that he can take in the morning of the trial. And they got specific with it. I mean, I don't have the plea in front of me, but I looked at it. They got specific with it where he needs like a lot of Adderall. I don't know if it was 20 mg. I'm the number. It's a big dose. He needs a larger than usual dose. And needs it for a delayed release on the day of the capsule. So it's just funny that he is having his lawyers officially do this, because apparently he does get prescribed Adderall from the prison that he's currently in, but he takes it in the morning, and by the time the trial is like past 10 a.m. or whatever, he feels like it's worn off. So he's asking for a much bigger super dose that he can have for the whole day, which is it's just a funny, that's a funny thing. And there was more evidence from Caroline Ellison's testimony that he was, extremely addicted to stimulants of all sorts. What is this, is Nardicaine or something? There was a bunch of things to say, but he during his time as CEO of SBF, of FTX, he was taking a lot of stimulants and apparently thought he was God. So he's probably going to need it for the testimony. And the testimony is very, very critical. Basically, it's his last hope to sway the jury in some way, because so far the government has put an airtight case up that he was aware that he committed crimes, and they've had every one of his executive staff flip on him and admit that he did. So he basically has one last quiver left to crush in this testimony. And if he doesn't, it looks like he's going to jail. There was this leaked thing that that Caroline Ellison put out, which was a note that she took from talking to him, which is things that Sam is currently freaking out about. Basically, she had a meeting with him, and he was freaking out about hedging, which is number one. Bad PR. Another great thing. I'm sorry. I forgot to remember one more thing from her testimony. Let's put this back up. From her testimony, Sam Bankman-Fried, according to her testimony, obsessed over his image. And in fact, carefully calculated his messy hair, crumpled t-shirt image as the boy genius, and obsessed over it daily. He was extremely specific about his attempts to craft this persona of a tech wonder kid boy genius and someone who didn't care about money. It was very important that people around him didn't think he cared about money, according to her testimony, including when he first moved to the Bahamas, he had a nice luxury car, I think a Lamborghini, and he realized that was a bad look, so he switched it out for a Honda Civic to pretend that he was a guy that didn't care about money, and in fact had her do the same thing. But they both had luxury cars, they just didn't show it. Which is pretty crazy. Interesting stuff from Sam Bankman-Fried's trial. We're going to follow up again. I think next week will be probably the most important finale week where he goes to take the stand. But for now, it's looking pretty bad for our boy SBF. You know what's looking good for? One group of people. Now, you guys, here, I'll even do a blank slide here. It's a blank slide. Now, I did not cover this on Marketing Monday because I think it's a jokey show and this is too serious and too recent a topic. But there is an angle of the conflict between Israel and Hamas happening right now that I do think is relevant to this show. And I wonder, who do you think is benefiting the most from this situation? Because it seems like a terrible situation. Death on both sides, tragedy. Who's benefiting? Huge win goes to, apparently, Congress. Congress is benefiting quite a bit as they have been trading military stocks amidst the Israel-Hamas war for massive profits. All three of these American military contracting stocks have spiked. Lockheed Martin, General Dynamics, and Northrop Grumman. This is the line from the attacks. They've spiked, and a bunch of politicians have gotten filthy rich off of this increase in stock price from both sides of the aisle. Nancy Pelosi's up there, Kevin Hearn's up there, Tommy Tuberville, Mark Green. All of these people who probably had advanced knowledge have all bought in either before or after into military stocks that have risen with the rise of conflict, which means they are directly incentivized and directly benefit from furthering conflict. It's a very cold take, but can we just ban stock trading from elected officials? It's fucked up. We talk about this week after week. At some point, we have to ban. It's just frustrating because it's like getting worse. We've covered this for a couple years on Marketing Monday, and I'm seeing more and more stories of it. It's like they've realized there's no punishment and it's free money. So they're just using their access to advanced knowledge or advanced policy creation to get rich, and it fucking sucks. So, nobody should be benefiting financially from this horrendous conflict. So, but I guess win to all of these congressional people who figured out a plan to feed money. The fail, I guess, goes to everyone else in America because bankruptcies are spiking to a near record high or a multi-decade high. In this August, bankruptcies are spiking primarily among small businesses, which is one of the worst places for it. Small business bankruptcies are rising at the worst pace since the pandemic. Basically, since the pandemic, we have not seen so many small businesses fail. And what's interesting is this is not being super reflected in the unemployment stats yet, because a lot of these are sole proprietorships. So you can imagine one of the places that rising inflation and economic shakiness is being felt is in people that have had their own one-person business where they do, you can call it gig jobs. You can call it whatever, this could be things like, like contract work. Like maybe you do art for businesses, or you do commissioned work for whatever, things like that. So all of that stuff are people's sole businesses. A lot of these are starting to fold or disappear or have fewer gigs farther and farther between. And so it's not showing up yet in unemployment, but it is showing up in rising bankruptcies. People aren't getting the money they used to get and not at the freedom they used to get it at. And you can see here, our line for 2023 is way above trend. Much higher. And that being said, people who are not sole proprietorships and are in their own jobs have just hit an average satisfaction score that is like at an all-time low since the peak of the pandemic. People are unhappy in their jobs. Employee satisfaction is at like an all-time low, which is crazy. I don't know what the situation is here, but it's looking like people are more burnt out from their jobs than they've been before. People are more dissatisfied with their current job, and people feel like they want to switch but can't. So again, what I've been saying repeatedly over and over is I think something is having to give sooner rather than later. I put the time as by Q2 24, but it just feels like so much of any good news in our economy is concentrated in 7 stocks. And I do believe I have a chart for that I want to share. Yeah, okay. So again, so far, the only good news that we're seeing in the economy comes from the S&P 7, which is the top 7 stocks in our stock market. The S&P 493 is basically flat, and things outside of that are doing even worse. And I feel like something will give sooner than later by then. I mean, these are the only things, and everything's riding on these 7 stocks. NVIDIA, Google, Amazon, Meta, the big names, Tesla. And so, I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer on this. I'm really not, but I feel like I have to keep reporting it because I see so much stuff in the news about soft landing, no worries, smiles. And then if you look any ounce deeper, there's like rising credit card defaults, rising car payment defaults, people are out of extra savings. I think the average or lower income Americans especially are hurting pretty bad. And I want to talk about it because I think it's important. I think it's going to lead to problems down the road that we should be informed of and aware of. That being said, another big problem in America that I want to discuss, and I'm going to give this a lighter level discussion, but I think it's interesting, is not that we're badass freedom eagle rocket people. We are, don't get me wrong. But I want to talk about the national debt, because I think it's something people don't really understand. And the numbers are getting crazy. The numbers are getting absurd. So the national debt just hit $33.5 trillion, which is just a number that I think none of us, myself included, can really wrap our minds around. But it's so staggeringly big, and so much bigger than it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, that it's worth talking about what that actually means. The national debt currently at $35 trillion is bigger than the national debt of the next 9 countries in the top 10 combined, or basically equal. It's basically equal to the national debt of the UK, Japan, Netherlands, France, Ireland, Italy, Germany, Canada, and China combined. Like, the United States runs a massive deficit every year, and we fill the gap not by printing money, but by issuing debt. Yeah, great question. Who do you even owe the money to? Like, who has the debt? We're going to talk about that. So with $33 trillion of debt, this article right here says 33 trillion. This is from September 19th. So that means in the last month, it's gone from 33 trillion to 33.5. It's a noticeable difference. $500 billion in a month is, we're getting so used to these crazy numbers, but that's crazy. That's crazy. Like we never used to have that. My entire life, we never had the debt expand that quickly. Here's why. So we had the big debt ceiling fight, which is basically a limit for how much debt the federal government can have at once. It's imposed by Congress. We have these fights all the time. Recently, in the last debt ceiling fight, to avoid national default, they basically just suspended it. So there's no longer a limit. They didn't make a new deal. They didn't figure it out. Currently, right now, as we're speaking, there is no limit. This is like one of the rare gaps where there's no limit at all. We have credit cards with no limits. So right now, we're spending like at a level we've actually never spent before. We're just running the US black card to the moon. And I want you to understand that, like, when this rocket ship takes off and we just spend like crazy, I think this is the major cause that is keeping our economy even somewhat afloat right now. I think, rising interest rates have made car payments unaffordable, student loan payments unaffordable, student loans are back, house payments unaffordable, business debt unaffordable. All this stuff should cause a bigger crash. But right now, everything is being held up by the fact the government is spending like fucking crazy. We're spending like absolutely crazy right now. And eventually, there has to be a change, because what happens is this money is owed to a large group of different people. Some of them is other countries. Some of them is average people. Like, I own some of the U.S. debt. If you buy a U.S. Treasury, then the government owes you money. And let me explain this kind of simply. So let's say you have a budget, all right? Let's say every year the government makes $100 billion from taxes. If they spend any more than that, that's called a deficit, okay? How do you pay for that deficit? You have two options. One, you could issue debt, which is like making U.S. treasuries that countries buy or we buy or governments buy or banks buy. Number two is you can print the money. If you print the money, you get fucking inflation. You get too much money, and that's a problem. So they try to avoid printing the money, which is why they issue the debt. So every year we have bigger and bigger deficits, and we have to print more and more money or issue more debt. And they've chosen not to print. They issue the debt. The problem is, if you make a treasury and issue debt, you have to pay interest payments on it every year. And so now a huge portion of the government's budget every year is just going to paying interest. When you have $33 trillion in debt, that means something like a fifth of all of our tax money just goes to paying interest. So that's like as much as you spend on the military. Like, we spend 18% of our budget on the military and like 18% on interest payments. And that only gets worse. And if we don't figure out a solution, if we don't find a way to cut the debt soon, eventually something like, 30% or 40% or half of all tax dollars just go to nothing. They just go to interest payments on a debt that's not paying down. Oh, I'm sorry. There's no ads, are there? Which means that one way or another, two things have to happen. One, the government spends less. Two, the government taxes more. Or three, the government prints money and we get insane inflation. Those are the only options. There's no other way out. It's gotten so bad that we have to do one of these two things soon. And, or I guess you could default. Okay, let's just not talk about that because that would be, if the United States default, we're going to have a global economic fucking collapse. So, or else what? It's a great question. People ask, or else what? So what happens if the United States doesn't pay? Who's going to do anything about it? Who's going to fuck with us, right? Here's the deal. So again, we talk about having a shortfall. I should use Paint for this. Paint makes it easier. Okay? We're going to use Paint. I like Paint explanations. All right, Paint. Here's our line, right? Okay. Let's say we're a little bit under. So let's say we overspent by $50 billion. Okay? Because we haven't had, just to be clear, here, I'll show you this. The last time the United States government had a budget surplus was the year 2001. Right there. That was the last time we had any kind of positive budget. Ever since then, we've spent more and more and more and more that we don't have, more than the taxes make. Oh, sorry. So you have this $50 billion shortfall. So you need to find a way to make up this money. You have to get the money from somewhere. So what they do is they issue debt. All right, issue debt, and then other countries and people like me and banks, they buy that debt because they know they'll get a nice interest payment. If for whatever reason this gets worse and worse and worse, and they decide, fuck it, we're not paying, then the next time this happens and you're short, you can no longer issue debt because no one will buy it. If for whatever reason you stop paying the interest payments on this debt and this debt and this debt and this debt, then eventually when this time comes around, you can't issue treasury because no one will buy it because you've proven you won't pay. Which means that you have to resort to the only other option, which is printing money. And if you do that, then you're fucked forever. This is like an Argentina situation. Once you start realizing that the only way out of your giant deficits is to print money, then their currency valuation goes to shit. That is like the end of the US dollar. So that, you know what I'm saying? We're getting to a point where the interest payments will be too high for us to afford. And if we don't afford them, we're fucked. So there has to be a change. And I think I think there will be a change. I think there's going to have to be eventually, if you look at history, in these types of situations, the government usually wakes up and realizes they have to do austerity or raise taxes, both of which fucking suck. But that one of those things I think will happen. If I'm a betting man, we're going to have government budgets cut. So we have, less Social Security, less school budget, ideally less military budget, or we'll have to raise taxes. One of those things is going to happen to fix this problem, or we're fucked. I mean, I think there's been a theory for the past 10 years that government debts don't matter. And I think we're running into the wall where we're starting to realize they do, where there is a hangover for having a massive debt. Money is not infinite, and there is printing money for a reason has to have a consequence. So, just let Congress insider trade to make back the money, or just give it all to Pelosi and let her fucking put it on red. And I hate to. I think we got the point across, but there's a general sense, right, that like government having a deficit and like running some debt is not a bad thing. In some times, generally during bad times, the Great Depression, World War II, these were great times to go into debt a little bit, print some money, issue debt, to try and jumpstart the economic engine. The problem is we have been running unprecedented deficits, issuing more debt than ever during the good times, during what would be called the good times. Like things aren't bad. We don't have high unemployment. We don't have like mass bankruptcies yet. So what happens is like we've run out of this tool for when the bad times really come. That's my big concern. We haven't been saving to have a good balance sheet for when the bad times come. We've been spending like crazy, which is a problem. And this is both administrations. This is Trump and Biden and Obama and Bush, really. Every time it's gotten worse, and I think we're hitting the logical limit of that. So I just want to give an update on that. I also wanted to do that because I'm going to talk about China later, and I wanted to be sure that I'm talking about U.S. debt as well. U.S. debt is not in a good spot. We just haven't hit like the full brunt of it yet, the way China sort of is hitting it a little earlier. That being said, all right, I want to take you back from the edge a little bit. I'll take you back from the edge. Everyone's worried or sad about that. Let's relax. I have a way for us all to make a ton of money, okay? For us all to just be financially successful, to put our money in a safe investment and turn it all around. And this is not just us, this is for any country, any person in any country across the globe. I have a way, okay? Now let's look at some of the other ways you could have invested your money in the past year. In the past year, you could have put your money, into stocks. You could have done this. That would have netted you, if you invested in a broad base of all stocks, primarily weighted towards the top 7, you would have made 17.7%. Pretty good. Stock market has held up, even though it's only 7 stocks. Over the past year, you could have made 17.7%. Again, all in these companies, but still. You could have put your money into gold. Gold over the past year did fine. You would have made 16.9%. If your money was in gold for the past year. Not bad, all right? Safe, sturdy, solid gold metal. You made some money. You could have put your money into Dogecoin, which exactly 1 year ago is the exact same price, October 17th, exact same price as today. So it would have been 0%. But that's stable. That's stability. If all of your money was in Doge 1 year ago and you sell it today, you have lost nothing. Okay? That's fine. You've hodled and lost nothing, which is pretty crazy. You could have put your money in U.S. Treasuries. I'll talk about this. This is what the government does when they have a deficit. They issue treasuries that you can buy. You could have earned 4.5% on your money, which is relatively high. Guaranteed, stable. As long as U.S. doesn't collapse, you get 4.5%. So whatever you put in, you would have got 4.5%. Not bad. But all of these 1 year returns pale in comparison to one asset. One asset has crushed all of the rest. Ladies and gentlemen, over the past year, I'm talking about CSGO skins. 32.5%. Now, the market is a little bit down, but that does not mean it has not been a great investment. If 1 year ago you took every dollar you had and put it in a broad-based index of CSGO skins, you would be up more than Warren Buffett. You'd be up more than the average investor that bought the S&P 500. You'd be up big. 32.5% is a massive increase, all right? That's been a great investment over the past year. All of these skins have seen massive price increases. Now, is there a risk to this? No, of course not. Unless you run into my fail of the week. Again, yeah, Aiden is a genius. No. The only risk to this is if you run into my fail of the week and are a user of AMD. Because this guy, Neon, was one of the biggest CSGO traders since 2015. He made $100,000 trading CSGO skins. But he made one mistake. Again, brilliant investor. This guy's the Warren Buffett of our time. He made one mistake. He bought AMD products. And because of a AMD anti-lag feature that got VAC banned, he lost $100,000 of knives in his inventory. AMD's anti-lag technology caused a Valve VAC ban. AMD is working to address the issue, but I don't know. I don't still work at NVIDIA, but I do hold some stock. And I would say I'd feel a lot safer with my money on a nice NVIDIA product. A nice NVIDIA GPU, you know what I'm saying? No chance of getting randomly VAC banned. That being said, this, researching this also brought me to an entirely different story where I want to give a win for the most shameless thing I've seen a company do in a minute. And that's a pretty high bar. It turns out some documents were leaked during one of the Sandy Hook school shooter trials recently. It's again a long going on, years long litigation. Some trials, some documents were released that revealed that Remington Firearms, one of the gun companies involved, part of a larger conglomerate called like Freedom Arms or something, had actually for a while now making secret deals to put their real rifles into Call of Duty for a reason of getting young potential shooters to come in contact with their branded firearms and ammunition through virtual gaming scenarios. Now, when they say shooters, they mean customers. They don't mean actual school shooters, but they mean basically they've realized, this is something that a lot of industries have realized, like NFL has realized this. Young people are not engaging with sports or with hunting or with firearms or with golf or with a lot of things in the same way. They're way more digital and they don't care. And so there's a lot of leaked emails from this company that basically said like, hey, there's a lot of young people growing up that don't like guns and they don't like our guns specifically. And we need to make them think our guns are cool. So they went to video game makers like Call of Duty and put in actual authentic rifles to try and build brand affinity from a young age, which is kind of fucking crazy. Again, here's the actual gun in game, and here is this executive showing it to a Call of Duty player at a firearms conference, pointing things out, which is crazy. Again, leaked email saying it's a real irony that video games just a decade ago were considered the number one threat to gaining new shooters, and is perhaps now our number one draw. Because according to them, putting their specific rifles into Call of Duty increases the sales. So their goal is to like, and again, this is something I've heard in my own business life. When I worked at NVIDIA, there was a big NVIDIA investor who was the chief marketing officer of the NFL. And she came to visit and talk to our marketing team. And she said the NFL had realized the number one way to grow their audience was Madden. But it makes a little more sense when it's talking about sports. When you're talking about people shooting, it feels a little scummier. You know what I'm saying? It feels scummier when they say shooters. I hate guns, but I know much more about them since I started playing Tarkov. Yeah, anyway. Apparently, there's just been a long-going branding opportunity with video games where that's where they have real guns in the game and not like fake named ones. So if you see a real gun, a gun in a game that's real, know that was probably from a deal. That was probably from a hand or a paid deal from a gun manufacturer to get you to get aware of it. Speaking of video games, let's talk about the deal that we've all been covering for a few months. Activision Blizzard, okay? Because it's finally gone through, and I'm done fighting it, all right? This is fine. Let's go, okay? Hey, Game Pass. Game Pass, baby! Game Pass. Listen, it's happening. We got to get on the board with it. Two major things that gamers have wanted from this deal are essentially coming to pass. Number one, well, not this year, but games are coming to Game Pass. Activision Blizzard games are coming to Game Pass. They announced that none of them are happening this year. We do not have plans to put Modern Warfare 3 or Diablo 4 into Game Pass this year, but we anticipate begin adding games into Game Pass sometimes in the course of next year. So 2024 should be the first year that Activision Blizzard games start coming to Game Pass. And if you're a Game Pass user, this is a big deal, and I'm happy for you, okay? More value for your buck. I'm not gonna talk about how I think the prices will go up long term. I think this is cool, whatever. Take it. Also, closer to now, we can all celebrate that Bobby Kotick is officially getting kicked out. Okay? All right, I'm doing this. Activision Blizzard CEO Bobby Kotick will remain in the role until the end of 2023, and then by January 1st, he's gone. He is gone from the company. He leaves behind a pretty damaged legacy. He was CEO during the many sexual assault and employee harassment claims, during many mass layoffs at Blizzard, and generally the mismanagement of Blizzard IPs that most gamers have noticed over the past few years. And they're excited to see a change. So he will be out at the end of 2023, and it'll be Microsoft's hands in 24. This is a big deal. What was funnier to me is that he's kind of an unpopular figure, Bobby Kotick. and he had to do an all-hands meeting to all of his employees and explain that he is leaving and what he thinks about the future of the company. Who do you think he chose to give him, sometimes you want to pair up with somebody who makes you seem cooler. Who do you think he chose as his on-stage partner to present all of this information? James fucking Corden. Who is advising this guy? Why would you call an employee all-hands meeting to have Bobby Kotick and James Corden tag team the news? You couldn't make this up. This is crazy. And apparently, it's not like a random choice. They're close friends. Because of course they are. James Corden and Bobby Kotick are friendly. And so he decided to bring him up on stage. Again, James Corden, who I don't think knows anything about games, was supposed to be the interviewer. So it's James Corden like asking him questions about the future of the games industry. What? What the? So this happens. James Corden joins Bobby Kotick for the all hands meeting and asks him what's the future of gaming? And Bobby Kotick says, fucking Neuralink. He's like, yeah, I think we're going to have the Neuralink chip implanted into our brains from Elon Musk. And I mean, he's just waffling at this point because he's fucking out. He's out of the business. He's taking his money and running. He'll be gone. But he's talking. He also asked him about cool future plans that'll happen because now Microsoft owns Activision. And the one thing he came up with was like, yeah, I think they'll probably bring back Guitar Hero. Which, I mean, cool, I guess. They paid $69 billion to bring back Guitar Hero. I don't know. The whole meeting was fucking awful. And if I was an employee, I would feel so confused while I was watching James Corden interview my fucking CEO. Who, by the way, at the end of it, as all said and done, is super happy because he's walking away with $293 million of severance. Sorry, I need to make this a little... $293 million severance package as Bobby Kotick walks away from a company they kind of mismanaged and then punted off to Microsoft. I don't know. I don't know what to say about this, bro. At the very least, Microsoft cannot do worse, I think. Although I said that about Elon Musk and Twitter, so it remains to be seen. Either way, I give him a win for the audacity to bring on James Corden and to walk away with all this money. And hopefully we'll give gamers a win when this stuff comes to Game Pass, and at least they get it for a while at a good price. Another win I have to give, and this is going to surprise people because we have talked about Netflix's struggles in the past, but I'm going to give a win to Netflix because it turns out that there's this thing called the cleanest dirty shirt. The United States dollar has it, where every currency sucks, but the US dollar sucks the least. So they get a lot of value and power from that. Well, it turns out that basically every streaming company sucks. They all are doing poorly. They're all having trouble with viewer churn, and they're all spending too much money. Netflix is the cleanest dirty shirt. Netflix is doing pretty well. In fact, Netflix is having a pretty big rebound in their stock price following a catastrophic collapse last year that we talked about. I'll show you right here. Look. Look at this massive fucking dip, but now it's bouncing back. And it's because Netflix actually makes money. Not a ton of money, but they do. Netflix is profitable on a subscriber basis and has less churn than the rest, which people keep subscribed to Netflix. They don't just churn out and watch one show. And so they're trying to go after a company that's struggling. Disney is struggling. If you guys don't know this, but Disney, as big as you think they are, is a smaller company than Netflix. Disney's worth significantly less. And Disney is having huge debt hangover and struggle with Disney Plus. Disney Plus is doing very poorly. And so Netflix is finally trying to sort of step in and eat their lunch. And I want to show you this. They're opening fan interaction stores where you can play, shop, and eat. Now, these are not as big as a park or anything like that, but they're a step in that direction. Netflix wants to go into the physical world. They want like restaurants themed after their stores. They want to have like pop-up stores with merch and stuff related to their popular shows. They basically want you to be able to go in the physical world to things related to popular Netflix trends. And, you know, whether or not these Netflix houses will pay off, it's tough to say. Because I don't know if their IP has enough power. This is sort of like what you might imagine you could see. Any one of these could have like a weekly pop-up at a Netflix house. And if you're a fan of that show, you go by and there's merch and, I don't know, interviews or whatever. There could be things like that. The Ozark Burger. Arcane could be, and there's things that could happen, right? I think it's a step in a interesting direction for them. And what it means, though, if you zoom out, is that they're really just like openly targeting Disney. Disney is weak. Disney is stumbling. Disney is the gazelle that is falling back from the pack. And Netflix is hungry. Netflix is hunting. And they want to try and push in on Disney's territory. And it's possible they may be able to do it. They'll have a mixture of retail, dining, and live experiences. They're opening the first two in the United States in 2025 and expand the concept around the world. So it's happening, is all I'm saying. And if you're watching business, you'll know that the story of Disney, shockingly finding itself to be a lot weaker than it was even a year ago, is a very important one. I kind of want to make an entirely separate video on it, but yeah, Disney's struggling more than people thought. And they're kind of in a part where they're like trying to sell off parts of their business to survive. Like Disney's thinking of spinning off ESPN and selling it. They're selling certain IP, certain franchises. They're even thinking about getting out of the Disney Plus game. I mean, there's like things they're thinking about. Hulu for sure. So a lot of problems with Disney they're trying to solve, and Netflix is hunting. Again, everyone is some people in chat are saying this couldn't work or wouldn't work, but they do have a history of making it work on a small scale. So Netflix did an IRL Bridgerton pop-up experience where you could like see dancers and have custom food and live music. And this did really well. Like there was a lot of positive feedback from fans. And you can imagine if they had a place where they could run something like this all the time, just for super fans, it could work. It could be successful, right? Do you understand? Like even if all of the shows aren't for you, one of them might be, and you might want to show up for that week. So again, I think they have a lot of evidence this could be successful, and it's probably a step in the right direction. Here you can see an example of it. People like this. Stranger Things did some pop-ups. They did pretty well. So again, all this is interesting. I'm going to give Netflix a win for trying something new, and I'm going to give Disney a fail for vastly overspending on Disney Plus for, I don't know, a service that we've all found to be kind of meh. But the biggest win in all of the world this week goes to a company called, well, it is a company called Atrioc in a country called Japan. Okay? Because things are okay when they're outside of Japan, but I think we can all agree they're cooler when they're in Japan. Everyone knows that it just becomes a little bit better when it's in Japan. I'm bat chesting when it's in Japan. And that is because as of this week, they have revealed a life-size functional Gundam by a company named Subame. And it only costs $3 million. Functional in quote. I mean, I think you can ride it, but it doesn't shoot. Which means Elon Musk is capable of buying 84,000 of these and creating a Tesla army. Yeah, and Hassan 85,000. Let's read the video. Oh, play it. Sorry. I gotta pause. So I said Elon Musk can buy 83,000 of these, and someone in chat said one for each one of his kids. So anyway, yeah, the fail this week is for Godzilla. So if he comes back to Japan, he has no fucking chance.
Hatch closed.
This is no dream. No use of CG. Yeah, so get ready for a whole new phase of warfare. So it's a car. It's a fancy car. It's a car with arms and hands, bro. And that, you know, there's been a lot of geopolitical tension between Japan and China. And so this might tip the balance back in Japan's favor. But to find that out, we'll have to do a segment much beloved. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, raise your hand and salute as we go to What's Up, Beijing? Oh, fuck.
起来，不愿做奴隶的人们，把我们的血肉筑成我们心之长城。中华民族到了最危险的时候，每个人被迫着发出最后的吼声。起来，起来，起来！我们万众一心，朝着敌人的炮火前进，朝着敌人的炮火前进，前进，前进，进。
我在北京。
Chills. Chills, dude. What's up in Beijing? Wait. Fuck. What's up in Beijing is bromance, okay? Bromance. Because Putin landed in Beijing today, or maybe yesterday, to hang out with his, quote, very dear friend Xi Jinping in a show of no limits partnership. Again, ever since the war in Ukraine, China and Russia have become a lot closer, largely due to increased economic ties around energy. Because Europe was no longer buying Russian oil and natural gas, Russia found a great buyer in China. And so now China has become basically the sole or major buyer of all of Russia's oil and natural gas. There's like 2 million barrels a day going from Russia to China, and they've become much, much closer allies. It's cheap energy for China. Yeah, exactly. So that's what's going on right now in China is those two are meeting and solidifying their partnership. But there's a larger reason they're there, and that's called the Belt and Road Summit. So Xi Jinping, after hanging out with his boy, got a little tipsy. Got a little tipsy and raised the glass, and has been talking about the future of what's called the Belt and Road Initiative. If you don't know what that is, it's an idea that he came up with in 2013. Xi Jinping created this idea in 2013, and it was an idea to create a lot of infrastructure that connects all of these countries across the world in Africa, South America, Russia, Southeast Asia, to China. Basically a bunch of like pipelines, roads, docks, shipping lanes to create a network of things that basically cut out, you know, some of the Western countries, the United States, and have a different infrastructure where they can get resources and stuff to China. And this spent a lot of money. They spent, you know, $1 trillion on this. But he announced that they've had to sort of well, he didn't say it like this, but this is the sort of the takeaway, is that they have to cut back a little bit on spending. They're kind of rebooting it, Belt and Road 2.0, because it turns out there was some flaws. So they spent a fuck ton of money, $125 billion a year, pretty much every year since 2013. And some of these things paid off and some of them didn't. A lot of them were involved large loans to developing countries to build infrastructure that could then link them to China. The problem is not all of it got built and most of it is not getting paid back. The problem is they lent a lot of money to countries that don't have the income or the fiscal responsibility or whatever to pay back these loans. And so they had to give them a lot of like extra lending, like bailouts, basically. They've had to bail out African countries they've loaned to, some South American countries they've loaned to. And that money started to add up. Again, they've had to do emergency support for borrowers as foreign governments struggle under heavy debts. So they're basically bad loans. Beijing has a bunch of bad loans and they're trying to overhaul. And so this meeting of the Belt and Road Initiative, which has just like something countries participating happening right now in China is like kind of a reboot where it's going to be smaller, more focused on like targeted projects, green energy projects, things that cost a lot less money rather than investing a ton in China. And part of the reason for this is that China, again, I hate to, there was a whole new crop this week of Xi Jinping downline articles. There was a whole new crop. I mean, like basically on Monday, I check all the news sites and there was a whole fresh batch of, 34 days type stuff because extra fresh bad news in the real estate market that we talked about. We talked about Country Garden, China's largest real estate developer, basically not paying its bills, going under, having default problems. But they had a 30-day grace period where they could figure it out. Well, tomorrow is the end of that grace period. And if they don't pay the debt tomorrow, then all of their foreign bondholders, basically anyone not in China who invested in Country Garden, is not getting paid, which is going to cause another panic, another fresh round of selling, another fucking decline of real estate stocks on Chinese markets. Tomorrow is a big day for whether or not they can do it. And the government might step in and help them pay, or it might not. It's going to remain to be seen. But what it's looking like is that China, which has bet its entire economy on real estate and is now paying the price, is still in a rough patch real estate hangover where they don't necessarily have the money to be making insane, or they have too many domestic problems to focus on to be making insane loans and investments around the world, what they were doing with Belt and Road. So they're cutting back on that. Now, I want to give credit here because China is going through, I'd say, a pretty serious economic problem right now with real estate. But unlike in 2008, when the United States had a big real estate crisis, one thing they're doing differently that I do want to give them a win for, they're actually arresting and prosecuting wealthy business leaders who helped push this crisis. I mean, they're actually jailing some rich people. Now, I have to give credit there because we didn't do that in 2007, and there is long moral hazard problems for that. This doesn't help the average person right now who's struggling with an unbuilt home or a declined value of a home, but at the very least, it may help the problems in the future. So, again, the Evergrande founder was a very rich person. He's being investigated and arrested. But the larger issue that we're seeing from, again, I read a really great article that I'll link in the description for the video. Check it out. But discuss the fact that like China is either waking up to the fact that they either have to spend a bunch of money on stimulus to try and turn things around, which is what we did in 2007, or they reshift their priorities and they don't care as much about getting rich, quote, getting rich. And it seems to be that Xi Jinping is of this second philosophy. He does not care as much about, quote, China getting rich and more about power, which basically means technological superiority and military prowess. China has vastly increased their military budget in the past few years. It's getting closer. I mean, again, people estimate it as much smaller, but the articles that seem to look into it see it closer as 700 billion, which is only a little bit behind the United States' 850 billion. Oh, ads? Fuck. Fuck. Terrible time for ad because I'm on the last fucking slide. I'm going to finish. Basically, there was a great quote from a guy who's an expert on Chinese debt policy and Chinese foreign policy that said, all policies are now determined by Xi Jinping himself, and his priorities are spending money to engage in a technology and national security race with the United States. Basically, they've sort of recognized the real estate problem is going to keep creating more whack-a-moles that they have to spend money on. So they're going to cut spending on some of the Belt and Road stuff and really focus on stronger military and stronger, chip creation and technological superiority, which is kind of insane. And is again leading to further tensions and conflict between the United States and China, which I think is the story of our time right now. I think no matter what country you live in, the big story of the next 10 years is the rising tensions between US and China, which if you flash back to 2014, people weren't talking about this. Things were rosy. There was massive trade. Companies were investing in China from both sides. And now it's getting way, way different. So as I continue to study this stuff for What's Up Beijing, the story I'm seeing is this has to be figured out. or something's going to give. But we'll follow that up in the future. Again, I'm too old to get drafted, so you guys figure it out. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of What's Up Beijing, and that is the end of Wins and Fails this week. Tune in later this week for a full Marketing Monday on a brand new topic on Thursday. Check it out. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you. And now we're going to chill for a bit, answer questions, and then watch House. Hope you enjoyed. Why can't the U.S. crisscross... Wait, sorry, what? Why can't the U.S. crisscross cancel the debt with other countries they owe money to? Crisscross cancel the debt? You mean like if Japan owes the U.S. money and the U.S. owes Japan money, they cancel it out? Is that what you're trying to say? Yeah, that... I guess I think you're simplifying something that's a little more complex. But the thing is, whenever you buy U.S. debt, it's always in the form of a treasury. It's a treasury bond that has a specific percentage coupon attached. So like whatever the interest rate is. So if you buy a U.S. treasury at 5%, you have to pay 5% back every year the length of the bond. Maybe it's 10 years, so 5%, 5%. So they would have to match up. You know what I'm saying? It'd have to be bonds that match up. And they sort of already are doing that by paying each other's bonds back. I think your solution would not solve the problem, is basically what I'm telling you. Why doesn't the Chinese government nationalize the housing industry? That's a massive bailout. I think Xi Jinping has said that he doesn't want to do massive stimulus and bailout for this problem. They're just trying to manage it. From everything that I've read about it is like they are trying to sort of whack-a-mole the issues that pop up, so it's more of a managed decline rather than one big bubble pop, because that causes social unrest, which the government that's their biggest fear, is social unrest. What if all countries agree to start over with a clean slate? I think you guys don't understand that like a lot of the debt is not held by countries. It's like it's like banks and investors. Like a lot of people own U.S. treasuries. It's like it's held by people that are getting paid the interest. And if you don't pay it out, then they got scammed. What if everyone... Oh. Screw those people? You guys, what I think you get is like... I think there's this general sense that you could just cancel it and it would be cool. It'd be like chill. But like... The only time you could do that and get away with it is if you were running a country that had no deficits. If you never needed to issue debt again. But the problem is we need to issue debt a fuck ton. The government needs debt every single quarter it's alive because we don't make enough in taxes to cover our spending. So if we massively cut spending, then I guess you could like default on debt and just use tax money. But it's just very unlikely that situation is going to happen. So... just closing off a country's access to debt markets has been proven to be really bad in a lot of countries. So it's like very a risky thing to do, which is what you do when you just default on your debt. Do you ever see the debt returning back down to zero? No. I don't think, I think a lot of people realize that 33 trillion is kind of like an unpayable number, except for two situations. Number one is they keep letting inflation run hot. If inflation runs hot, then suddenly 33 trillion is worth a lot less and it's easier to pay back. So secretly, it's kind of in the US government's interest to have higher inflation secretly. If it runs at 3 or 4% instead of 2%, they kind of would secretly prefer that because then we can pay our debts easier. That could happen. 32 trillion could be worth a lot less. The other thing that could happen is that we cut spending and increase taxes. But I think, like, I don't know. No politician is suggesting that. Nobody. No Democrat or Republican is like, hey, well, actually, whoever's not in power suggests it, but when they get in the power, they change their mind. You know what I'm saying? Nobody is saying we're going to cut spending and raise taxes. Once they're in power, because it's so unpopular. And what can you cut? Like, you can cut, I mean, in my mind, you know, we have a pretty bloated military budget that could be cut down, but Social Security is already underfunded. They can't really cut that. You know, schools are underfunded. They can't really cut that. There's like a lot of things you can't cut. And again, we already spend 15 to 18% of our tax receipts every year on interest on previous debt. Would properly taxing billionaires make much of a dent in the debt? I mean, yeah. Again, don't think of it as like a dent in 33 trillion. Just think of it as like every year we spend more than we make. And we have to fix that problem first. If we just taxed people enough and cut spending enough to have a balanced budget, then at least the debt isn't increasing every single quarter. But it keeps increasing, which makes the problem for the future worse. What are your thoughts on Taliban and China strengthening relations? I don't think China is having formal diplomatic relations with the Taliban. Our enemies are teaming up. Probably not. Taliban's not big enough to be. The issue is, I mean, if you're like purely U.S. focused on like geopolitical U.S. power, it's BRICS is the problem because they have the economic heft and the ability to get outside of the dollar. That would be anything outside of that doesn't matter as much, but like Brazil, Russia, India, China, those, if they find a way to settle settlements in gold or whatever outside the dollar, that would seriously reduce U.S. power. I'm using the Oreo fidgeter, yeah. So a more reasonable approach is to get the level down to a more reasonable level. Yeah, expecting us to be debt-free is essentially impossible. And also not even in the government's interest. One of the reasons the US dollar is possible to be the global reserve currency is because the US government runs a massive deficit. So there's a lot of dollars out there to be used. The US does not contribute enough of the world economy anymore to actually make the dollar reserve on its own. So it actually has to have a little bit excess. So yeah, it's not, again, it's the idea of a constantly growing, ballooning debt is the problem, not necessarily having some debt. All countries have debt. What is the fastest way to change the U.S. government for the better? Get money out of politics. Repeal Citizens United so that corporate lobbying is not legal, and reduce the capability of corporations to basically legally buy politicians. And yeah, that would be the number one way. Also, you know, yeah, money out of, I mean, remove the ability of Congress to stock trade. Just make it so it's not, it's not like such a financialized position. Atrioc, when are you thinking of applying for president so you can fix this? Applying? You think it's a job application? You think you go to Indeed.com and they have U.S. president on there and you submit your resume and they review it and they go, this guy could be good. Don't know wall. Who do I don't know wall? Extra Pip, thank you for the 22 months. Why can't the U.S. just tell the banks no? What are they going to do? Start a coup? Am I not making it understandable? The point is, you need to be able to issue debt. And if you stop paying or you say, fuck it, we're not paying, we cancel it, then you can't do that anymore. That's why they don't do it. That's why they don't do it. I'm just, the reason they don't just say, fuck you, I'm not paying is not because they're afraid of a coup. It'll be fine. They won't pay and no one will be able to stop them. The problem is then no one will accept buying their debt in the future. That's why they don't do it. It would be very scary to go into that universe. So they can do it one time. Okay, yeah, you could do it one time, and then if you ever need debt again, you're kind of fucked. That's when you just buy your own debt. Yeah, I mean, sometimes countries do that. Japan buys its own debt. And what that means is they get their treasury to print a bunch of money and buy their own debt. Which is just a fancy way of just printing money directly, but it reduces inflation because it's like caught up in the debt market, even though it eventually bubbles out. And all that means is you get inflation long term. You get too much more money in the market. It ruins your currency. Hey, Atrioc, you said that NVIDIA question, Pog. You said that NVIDIA doesn't make much money from gaming in terms of stock price. Why do they care? Why do they even try in gaming if the profit pales in comparison? Well, NVIDIA is like a 30-year plus gaming company that recently figured out that their GPU chips are amazing for AI and machine learning and just they're better at compute for modern computational problems. And so they pivoted into that, and it was enormously successful. Enormously. So much so that it vastly grew the company. And is now like the majority of what the company works on. So they're not going to get rid of gaming. It's just not as important to the bottom. Like, gaming is at flat growth. And AI is massively growing. So that's what they're focusing on. There's no reason to get rid of it. I mean, they're the dominant player. I mean, they have like 90% market share in GPUs. They just don't, they don't, it's not their main focus. Minus 70? Who dropped 70? It was $6. And they said 1.5 years of spamming the coffee cow joke was over on October 9th per chance. Yeah, we talked about it on Red Recap. Why did 2001 have an income surplus? I just think it was the Bill Clinton years, I believe, and they had a balanced budget. Like they spent less than they made from taxes. There is some asterisk to it, but in general, the United States was in a better spot. No, 2001 was Bush. Yeah. 2001 was Bush. But it might have been left over. I think the article I was reading was that it was Clinton was the last one with the balanced budget, so I'm not sure how it works, but yeah, beginning of the 2000s, basically the last time we had any kind of balance. He threw a baseball, by the way. I don't know if you guys know that. What if the USA decides to invent a new currency and uses that instead of dollars? Does that solve any of the problems? Or does that just change the name of the dollar? Does that change anything at all? It's a nice rebrand. That's what like companies do when they're having like big, like people are hating the product. They haven't updated it in a long time. They just do a fucking logo change. Classic like rebrand culture at a company. They spend a bunch of money on a logo change. It changes nothing. Consumer doesn't care. All right, we're gonna watch House in 4 minutes. So I'm just here's the title. House season 5, episode 1, Lupus, the return of Lupus. Run ads? Yeah, I'll run some ads. I'll run some ads in a second. Any more questions? Sorry, I'm answering questions here. What about, what if we print out national debt, bet it all on red, win, then burn all the money we printed? Okay. Let's think that through, right? So you've printed $35 trillion and you walk into a casino. Let's say Harrah's Casino or whatever, fucking the Cosmopolitan or something. And you put it all on red and win. So now the casino owes you $35 trillion. The Bellagio owes you $35 trillion. Where do they get the money? You know? Where do they get the money to pay you? Debt. They borrow it from the U.S. Not my problem. Not my problem. Okay. I see. What's stopping the government from tying wages to inflation and printing infinite money? Tying wages to inflation and printing infinite money. Wages are already tied to inflation. They go up as 100 gifties. Holy fuck. K-Fank, you're inflating the sub economy. Thank you for... I mean... Okay. Thank you for the 100 gifted, K-Fank. I appreciate it. Let me see what your message was, if you have one. You have 7 messages. Your message was, the government might put it all on red, but what if I put it all on Atrioc? Holy shit. Are you Jerome Powell? Is this part of Jerome Powell's plan to launder the U.S. debt through my stream? I love that. Doesn't make any sense, but I love it. No, like rampant runaway inflation is just, I mean, look at any example in history of that happening. It's a disaster. Prices changing during the day, people getting paid and their money being worthless by the end of the day they got paid in it. Nobody wants to keep money in a bank or hold money in cash. They find a way to get it to a different currency. Eventually the numbers get astronomical. Money that you saved 1 week ago is now worthless. Runaway inflation is the end of a country or the end of the economy, really. It's like the last step before they have to fucking do a reset. What stops another country from just printing dollars? I think other countries have had sophisticated counterfeiting systems, is my understanding. Like, I think North Korea at one point had like the world's greatest counterfeiting warehouse where they would make, $100 million of US dollars. Nothing is stopping them other than the fact that counterfeiting money is, they can get found out. If you're really good at it, yeah, then nothing, I guess, is stopping you unless US will invade. They'll find some way, though. How did Germany survive after their economic collapse post-war? Why can't we all do that? How did Germany survive after their collapse, the Weimar collapse, where the currency went to... They started World War II, bro. They militarized their whole economy. Elected a populist fucking psychopath leader, and then started invading other countries. That was their plan to get out of the debt. So why don't we do that? I guess so. Invade Canada? All right, fuck it. Let's invade Canada. Let's do that. Atrioc, if the U.S. wanted to fuck over China, couldn't we secretly print billions of their currency and give them inflation? Secretly? Pretty big bet that they're not going to find out. Pretty big bet that the United States is going to engage in open counterfeiting of one of their trade partners' currency and hope they don't find out. No narcs. All right. What stops people from withdrawing bonds and the government being SVB 2.0? I think you should understand. I want to explain how a bond works. A bond is just like a piece of paper that says, I owe you. This is my IRL backpack. Wait, sorry about that. It just says, I owe you. So you give them $1,000 and it says, in 10 years, we'll pay you back $1,000. Every year in between, we'll pay you interest payments of this amount. And that amount is based on basically how easy it is for them to get debt. So let's say it's 5%. So you give them $1,000. Every year they pay you 5%. In the end, they give you $1,000 back. That's how it works. That's how a bond works. So you can't pull it out. You can't be like, all right, I'm done. I want it back early. You can't do that. It's the time is what matters. You give it to them for 10 years and they get it back. What is this? Yeah, it's fine. It's not a variable rate. No, it's whatever when you buy it. The rate changes, but when you buy it, it's locked in. Like I bought some 6-month and some 2-year treasury bills. I bought them with my money. And they were at like, I don't know, 5% and 5.2% or something like that. And it's like those pay out that amount of money every year, and then I get my money back after 2 years. So that's how a treasury bond works. Governments buy them from the United States, banks buy them from the United States, people buy them from the United States, and that's how we issue debt. When we talk about government debt, it's all in these bonds. If the American dollar is essentially virtual now, why does printing money cause inflation? Whether it's virtual or not doesn't change the amount there is. If there's more dollars chasing the same amount of goods, the prices will go up. That's just what it's not about actual inflation. Is not about the number of printed dollars. It's just about the number of money people have. If tomorrow every single person had $1 million more dollars, the prices wouldn't stay the same. Groceries would spike up. You know what I'm saying? Everything would go up. If we all just had $1 million more dollars in our pockets, it wouldn't. So printing money doesn't even mean printing money is done digitally. They and there's more money. You're getting baited so hard by the chat. I don't think I am. I think some of these might be baits, but I actually think a lot of people don't ask these dumb questions, or not even dumb questions, that are somewhat basic questions, and they just go on never knowing, and it's like, that's fine. I like answering these. I think people want to know sometimes these basic questions, and it helps you get a world or a mental model for what's going on. I feel like it's helpful. I said dumb question is the wrong word. It's just like nobody talks about it. They don't teach you this stuff. It doesn't seem relevant. And then people go on thinking like, questions like, why don't we just not pay or whatever? And then it's like, well, here's an answer. Why don't all countries agree to reduce military budgets by 50%? Because we don't live in that world, bro. I don't know what to tell you. I think you have a sweetheart. They want that's not how it works, bro. Like one country doesn't do it, then they have an advantage, right? That's like the idea. I mean, I think, listen, I do agree that we overspend on the military because, it's led to a lot of bloat. You could even be more effective with less money. Let me see. Atrioc, this is my last time asking. I don't want to be annoying to chat. Marvel announced they're using their next Avengers film to soft reboot the franchise and focus on what works. Do you think this has to do with Disney and Disney Plus overspending issues? Not overspending, underperformance. Marvel is underperforming. Pixar is underperforming. ESPN is underperforming. Disney parks are doing fine, but not rampant growth. A lot of things that Disney has been banking on and relying on. Star Wars underperforming. Has been banking on are underperforming. And so Disney's in kind of panic mode. Disney's in a bad spot. And Disney Plus, which is what they bet everything on. Like, a lot of the last few years has been Disney being like, hey, whatever happens, we got Disney Plus. That's our future. We're betting on that. Disney Plus is doing badly. People are unsubscribing at a pretty big rate. It's not growing the way it was in 2020, 2021. And so Disney's trying to do a big reset. They're trying to reboot Marvel. They're trying to do a $60 billion parks refresh. They're trying to go back to core concepts with animation. They're just trying to reboot the whole company, man. They're trying to get everything back to what it was. And they're selling a lot of things that aren't important or are not core. They're selling Hulu or thinking about it. Yeah, so that's what they're trying to do. Disney wants to do a full reset. As a Disney adult, does the Disney news failing upset you? As long as I still have my Star Wars slop, I'm happy. Based question. What is this? How do I see Zet? Who said it? Zet. I lost your fucking message. Oh. What motivation would a president ever have to address the debt when they can simply kick the problem down the road until they're not in office anymore? It's a great fucking question. None. That's the problem, bro. That's not just every politician, every president has the same problem. Is they get into office and they realize that to be the I don't know, to be the smart person here, to be the noble person here, they got to take the grenade. They got to reduce the debt. They got to make unpopular choices like raising taxes on the rich. Ugh. Raising corporate taxes. Ugh. Cutting spending. Ugh. To do that will be deeply unpopular. Everyone will be mad. They're going to vote him out. They're going to say, no way. And so they don't do it. And so every president that gets in is incentivized to keep spending. All right. If the government pays back its debt consistently to everyone, how is the debt increasing? Because they keep adding more to it. That's what I'm saying. Every quarter, every year, every month, the United States government spends more than it makes. It's called a deficit. And our deficits keep going up. And every time there's that gap, every time we're like, we're $1 billion short, $2 billion short, usually it's closer to fucking 500 billion or whatever, then that is when we issue more debt. We keep selling more treasury bonds to people and banks and governments. And then we have to pay more interest next time. And we are still short. That's the problem, is that until you solve the problem of us spending more than we make from tax receipts, this problem will only get worse. And right now it's the worst it's ever been. Why don't they deal with the debt and raise taxes in their second term because they can't be elected afterwards? The problem is we have such a polarized political system in the United States that let's say it's the second term of Obama, right? And he's like, fuck it. I don't give a shit anymore. I'm just going to fucking do the right thing. I'm going to raise taxes and reduce debt. Well, then the Republican Party, no matter who they put, is going to win because it's a party system too. It's not just like Obama is gone. Do you understand? Just do it in your last year. So then the other party wins and then undoes what everything they did. We just have no capability of sticking to a budget, which is a problem. Yeah, it's just a bad system. I mean, the two-party system is bad. Not having ranked choice voting is bad. Money in politics is bad. And all of it combined. And also, part of it is our fault as voters a little bit because we just don't care enough, bro. We don't care to know. We're not very informed. And all we care about is is gas prices up? Gas prices down? We just don't know, bro. And so we're not going to vote informed. And so politicians know that, and they know that we can't stick to a story for more than 2 weeks. We can't. And so the best thing they do is take money from corporations and kind of ignore us because we can't stick to it. So that's those things combined to make a problem. I don't think it's impossible. I'm not even a doomer, bro. I'm just telling you if I'm being a realist, I think we're headed for some rough years, but also rough years have led to big change. Like in U.S. history, so I'm not saying this is what we're heading into, but when we had the Great Depression, that gave people finally the fucking political will and courage to introduce estate taxes, to increase taxes on the rich. FDR got elected. I'm saying this thing kind of self-cycles and balances, but I think we've had 15 years of super easy money, and people just are kind of ignoring the fact that there's going to be some hangover of that. All right, let's watch House. I don't want to get into this again. I did this yesterday. Let's watch House. I like talking about this. I do. I like talking about this a lot. I'm going to make another handshake. All right, this one I'll stick to. Next Monday, for next Marketing Monday, I'm going to open the Marketing Monday Discord if you want to talk about this kind of shit. If this is interesting to you, we're going to have it set up because it's been close to set up. I need to just... So Marketing Monday, if this stuff interests you and you actually want to talk about it, I've been talking about this all the time with people in there. We drop cool news articles. We talk about it. It's cool. If you want to join that, I'll do it on Monday. I'll open it. It's not for glizzy hands memes. It's not for anything like that. It is just for business, marketing, geopolitics discussion. If you're interested in that, you can join. All right, we'll do it on Monday. All right, handshake. Okay. I am going to run an ad so it doesn't run during the show. I'm going to go get a snack. If you're interested, get a snack, get a drink, chill. We'll play a Drop Spindle song, and we'll watch House.